Welcome to another edition of our StaySmart newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing, where we try to keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry. I'm coming to you today from a very cold Kansas City. I don't know, we got 3 or 4 inches of snow here and some really cold weather. So winter is definitely here now. So I'll go ahead and just dive right in. The first couple of articles that we have are very similar because they're talking about alternative accommodation, kind of apart hotel collaborations or consolidation. So the first article is about Casa and Mint House announcing their strategic partnership or combining the inventory. So Casa is adding about 1,000 units of Mint House's inventory into their brand. They're going to be doing business as Mint House by Casa. This seems to make a lot of sense. There's a lot of synergies between these two brands, and Casa is adding Mint House's inventory that was in locations where they were not. So you see like Dallas and Washington D.C. and Nashville. I think this makes a lot of sense. We're going to scale up and create a lot of efficiencies. So Casa and Mint House combining. And then the next article is about Hilton and Placemaker. So Hilton announced their new lodging segment, Apartments by Hilton, and they announced Placemaker adding 3,000 units of inventory to this segment. And Placemaker now is going to be able to have their inventory on Hilton.com. They're going to be able to offer their guests the Hilton Honors program. So I think this makes a lot of sense too. I think this would be a good partnership. It is interesting, as we saw, a couple months ago with the collapse of Sonder. They were part of Marriott.com. So I do think it's interesting, but I'm sure there was a lot more due diligence that went into this partnership than we saw with Marriott and Sonder. And then the next article is interesting, kind of from a tech side. Airbnb poached the former Meta AI, the head of Meta AI. So I think this is interesting to see Airbnb really trying to get in front of AI. And as they're trying to expand, Airbnb is trying to expand from their short-term rentals into their events. And, I think they're going to try to be a full-service concierge service or travel service outside of just short-term rentals. So it's interesting to see Airbnb go out and poach an AI expert from Meta. And then finally, there was an article about Marriott's shift in leadership. I won't spend too much time talking about that because it's really cold out here. But that's what I have this week. I will be talking next week at the CHPA conference in Austin, Texas, which hopefully will be a little bit warmer. If you're going to be going to that, reach out to me. I'd love to meet up with you at that conference. But otherwise, that's what I see transitioning this week. Take care, everyone.